Papa get des belles garçons, get des limons belles garçons, habillés tout en blanc, pour la monter au palais. Papa get des belles garçons, get des limons belles garçons, habillés tout en blanc, pour la monter au palais. L'habillé tout en blanc, il semblait un député. L'habillé tout en noir, il semblait un sénateur. L'habillé tout en blanc, il semblait un député. Papa get des belles garçons, get des limons belles garçons, habillés tout en blanc, pour la monter au palais. Papa get des belles garçons, get des limons belles garçons, habillés tout en blanc, pour la monter au palais. L'habillé tout en blanc, il semblait un député. L'habillé tout en noir, il semblait un sénateur. L'habillé tout en blanc, il semblait un député. L'habillé tout en noir, il semblait un sénateur. Oui, papa guédé, adieu, guédé limo. Oui, papa guédé, adieu, guédé limo.
There can be no question that U.S. intelligence had everything to do with the assassination of Jovenel Moïse. People now see him as a martyr. And word on the street, what most conscious Haitians agree about in terms of the assassination of Jovenel Moïse, he was in too deep. They were using him, but he got in between different bourgeois actors, different oligarchs. He didn't know his place as a type of lackey, and because he was beginning to be outspoken and honest about so much of the corruption, he had to be taken out. And that's where the 18 Colombian paramilitaries and the DEA and all the confidential informants come in. I mean, there can be no question that U.S. intelligence had everything to do with the assassination of Jovenel Moïse. So many roads in Haiti have been abandoned for decades and centuries. Jean-Claude Duvalier, all these different dictators, they never finished the national highways. They embezzled the funds, but not this road that you see here. This road, by all standards, is brand new in the north of Haiti in Port-de-Paix. Why? Because Jovenel Moïse, who was assassinated on July 7th, 2021, he was very, very unpopular in Port-au-Prince, in the capital. But in the middle of the big rebellion in 2021, he did a big carnival. February is carnival season. But to get the big carnival trucks and everything here, he had to build this road. So this road was built specifically for Jovenel Moïse to look real good. And Haiti is a very regional place. People are really regionalists. So the whole country, it seemed like the whole country, millions of people were mobilized against Jovenel Moïse. He never had a constitutional mandate. But here in the north, where he's from, ça c'est la terre joveneliste. You can't say anything negative about Jovenel, or people will take it very, very personal. So all the different social leaders here who speak out against the gangs and the complete anarchy, they always talk about the gangsterization de pays, the complete gangsterization of Haiti. But they stop short of saying anything negative about Jovenel Moïse because people now see him as a martyr. There can be no question that U.S. intelligence had everything to do with the assassination of Jovenel Moïse. The Center for Economic and Policy Issues, Jake Johnston, they've done amazing research in terms of unpacking all the layers of the assassination of Jovenel Moïse.
Haiti and Benin are intricately connected. Historically, socially, culturally, these two nations are bound together in a unique way. So much of the Haitian culture we see today is directly linked to Benin. Creole Haitien, Haitian Creole, grammatically borrows from the Fon language, which originated in Benin. Also, our culinary styles and flavors mirror what you'll find in Benin. The heavy use of song and dance, oral traditions, and community ceremonies, the strong kinship networks can be found in both nations. And perhaps most notably, Voodoo, the spiritual system that was born in Benin, is now practiced throughout Haiti in a creolized form called Haitian Voodoo. In order to understand the deep connections between these two nations, it's important to note that in 1975, relatively recently, the Republic of Benin had a name change. Originally, it was the Republic of Dahomey, and that's because even before it was a republic, before it was a colony of France, this was a kingdom, the Kingdom of Dahomey, one of the richest, most powerful kingdoms in the 19th century. And us Haitians, we know Dahomey. We refer to ourselves as Neg Dahomey because our roots can be found in this kingdom. At one point, the Kingdom of Dahomey was the epicenter of the transatlantic slave trade. They had one of the most active slave trading posts in all of Africa. They were providing a significant amount of enslaved Africans to Europeans, not only because they were capturing their enemies and selling them to Europeans, but also because a lot of Dahomians were captured themselves and then shipped to the New World. Now here's where the cultural transference happened. Haiti was a French colony called Saint-Domingue, and Saint-Domingue was a huge importer of enslaved Africans. In order to fuel this lucrative plantation system, Saint-Domingue purchased many enslaved Africans. In fact, at one point, Saint-Domingue accounted for 1/3 of the transatlantic slave trade. Those who survived the Middle Passage brought along with them a piece of their homeland, their culture, cuisine, their religion, their politics, and not all of them came from the Kingdom of Dahomey, but there was a significant representation from this region. Dahomians went on to play a significant role in Haitian history. Toussaint Louverture, the great leader of the Haitian Revolution, is Dahomian. His family is from modern-day Benin. His father is believed to have been a prince in the region. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, the man who secured and declared Haiti's independence, he was raised by and trained by a Dahomian warrior, Aunt Toya. Before she was abducted from Africa, Aunt Toya was a Dahomian soldier who protected the king of Dahomey. She was an Agoji warrior, and if you remember, these fierce women were famously depicted in the movie The Woman King. Even after our independence, King Henri Christophe brought African warriors from the kingdom of Dahomey to the kingdom of Haiti in order for them to help him effectively rule the land. These Dahomians became royals, and they became the primary agents of authority for King Henri Christophe. Truly, the connections between Haiti and Benin are extensive. They're profoundly deep. We are interconnected by shared experiences and by blood.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Powered, produced, promoted, sponsored, supported, and brought to you by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. In Ouida, Benin, a National Voodoo Day is celebrated on January 10th annually. African and diasporic artists were initially invited to create monuments to mark important points along the slave route. The path captured people were marched along on their way to the beach and to the slave boats that carried them into slavery in the Americas. On the National Voodoo Day in Benin, there is a ceremonial procession to each of the major sites along the march. The procession begins under a tree where the slave auctions were held, then to the tree of forgetting around which they were walked 3 times so they would forget who they were and where they came from. Then the memorial of repentance, dedicated to repentance for the complicity of their ancestors in the slave trade and to petition the forgiveness of the descendants of enslaved Africans now living in the diaspora, a plea for absolution. And then to the Somai enclosure where they were said to have waited for the slave ships to arrive, then to the tree of return, where the slaves were walked around the tree 3 times so that their spirits would ultimately return to their native lands. Then to the door of no return, a large arch where the enslaved were forced into the slave ships. A most recent monument is near the door of no return, and it's called the door of return, on homage to and celebration of the transatlantic descendants of African slavery. And January 10th, National Voodoo Day, the Dagbo King leads the procession every year to each of these sites where small ceremonies are performed, followed by a major Voodoo ceremony. And our now third annual International New Orleans Voodoo Day was birthed from this powerful event. And we continue to invite your support, your participation, your volunteership, sponsorship, and donations. Becoming part of something extraordinary. New Orleans International Voodoo Day is not just an event, it's a movement that celebrates culture, fosters education, and it connects people from around the world. And by sponsoring this event, you're supporting a tax deductible cause that preserves heritage, uplifts art and education, and fosters healing within the community and beyond. And we're certainly thankful and appreciative for your continued nightly support, 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time on a platform near you, certainly by way of our many Facebook profiles and groups, by way of my Instagram, my YouTube, my Twitter X, and certainly by way of Instagram, and anywhere you may pop the link in or utilize the QR code at the top right of the screen. We're also thankful for our continued support and participation from in the chat. Thank you so much to our committed, faithful community member, Daniel Neal. Jake 19K, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing. And to my beloved co-host, thank you so much for your continued support, commitment, and dedication, Elder Reggie Green Soap, leader and founder of Shrine of the White Cloth, also a committed, faithful co-administrator of NOIVD. And we will be bringing him into our conversation momentarily. Tonight, I want to speak of echoes across the Atlantic. Echoes across the Atlantic. I want to speak about ancestral memory, the Middle Passage, the diaspora, and certainly how it has reshaped, re-evolved, rebirthed itself now here in what we call the New World. So hear me now, children of the sun, children of the river, children of the drum. Hear me now, descendants of those who cross the waters, not by choice, but by chains, by iron, by the cruel winds of commerce. We gather in the name of memory. We gather in the name of ancestors. We gather in the name of those whose voices were silenced, yet whose echoes still resound across the Atlantic. Echoes in the waves, echoes in the drums, echoes in the bones of the earth, echoes in the living breath of their descendants. From Senegambia they came, Mendinka and Wolof, their ghosts silenced, their their stories torn from the heart. From the Gold Coast they came, Akan and Ga, their drums muted, their gold stolen. From the Bight of Benin they came, Yoruba and Fan, their Orishas and Loa carried in secret whispers. From the Congo they came, the Congo, the Mbundu, their cosmologies hidden in the folds of memories. The ships were not vessels of travel, but prisons of despair. The Middle Passage was not a journey, but a womb carved into the ocean itself. The Middle Passage, a corridor of suffering, a graveyard without tombstones. Yet, even there, in the belly of the ship, the ancestors spoke. They spoke in dreams, they spoke in chants, they spoke in the rhythm of chains against wood. And though many bodies were claimed by the sea, their spirits rose, their spirits flew, their spirits became the very waves that carried us forward. And in Haiti, the Loa walked again. Ogu, Urzuli, Legba, their names whispered in the night, their power rising in revolution. Ancestral memory survived in Voodoo, Candomblé, Santeria, Hoodoo, and the like. In Brazil, the Orishas danced in Candomblé, their colors blazing in Bahia, their songs woven into samba. In Cuba, Santeria carried the saints and the spirits together, a syncretic flame that refused to die. In Jamaica, Obia and Mayal kept the ancestral fire alive, hidden in the hills, whispered in the cane fields. And in New Orleans, oh, New Orleans, the city of crossroads, the city of drums, the city where Congo Square became a temple, a sacred space where voodoo and hoodoo carried the wisdom of Africa into the heart of America. So memory is not history alone. Memory is living. It is not the past. Memory is breath. It is bone. Memory is ancestral lineage that survive in the blood, in the DNA. Memory is the drumbeat that refuses to fade. Ancestral memory is the whisper in the ear, the hand on the shoulder, the dream that guides the living. It is the reason we dance. It is the reason we sing. It is the reason we pour libations to the earth to call the names of those who came before. And in my closing, let us call their names: Mandinka, Wolof, Yoruba, Fan, Igbo, Congo, Mbundu, just a few of the ancestral ethnic lineages that survive in my very own DNA. And let us call their names: Haiti, Brazil, Cuba, Jamaica, New Orleans. Let us call their names: ancestors, spirits, gods, and protectors. Echoes across the Atlantic, echoes across the centuries, echoes across our very souls. We are not broken. We are not forgotten. We are the living memory of those who endured. We are the children of survival. We are the echoes made flesh. And tonight, tomorrow, forever moving forward, we honor them. We remember them. We give life to them in name, in activity, in demonstration. And I invite you to come in and share your ancestral experiences, memories, and practices as I unmute and invite Elder Reggie to also come on in and share your ancestral memories and practices with us. And as always, we're thankful for your continued support and participation. And come on in, Elder Reggie. What say you?
It's blessing Divine Prince and the collective audience. Great topic, Divine Prince. I like to add off with yeah, I know November the 1st is All Saints Day, but I do take that time frame and I go to the grave site to clean off my both my parents are dead. So I go to the grave site in remembrance of them, clean off their graves if I bring flowers or anything of that nature. So I could be in a physical, symbiotic physical presence with my ancestors there. Now, at my home, I have an ancestor shrine, and at the shop, I have an ancestral shrine. So, in 3 locations, I am working and moving with the ancestors. It's when I go to the cemetery, I feel more alive, more connected to them at that point.
Mm.
And I try to work from there and ask for instructions to help me give back to the community in other ways. And that's how I do it. You like to add to what you do, Divine Prince?
Yeah, we certainly have. Well, we actually have multiple ancestral shrines in the house. We have our personal shrines, and many of you know that my armor bearer and first priest also resides in the house and has an ancestral shrine. And then we
Mm-hmm.
have a much larger communal shrine that I work with my godchildren, my clients, people who come into the house. We have a outdoor shrine, and often the organic material that does not survive or somehow naturally petrify, we take that out to the outside area. There is what some might see as a bit of a compost area,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a part of the ancestral space outside where we deposit leftover food, maybe flowers, certainly liquids that might get putrid. We'll toss those on the outside. And then there's that, communal space that we collectively share in Congo Square. And when I am
Mm-hmm.
present in Congo Square, I'm often administering the offerings, the food services, the ritual ceremonies to the ancestors at the main ancestral tree there in Congo Square. We have a tree in Congo Square that's at least 600 years old, maybe older. It reaches
Mm-hmm.
over almost the entirety of what we call Armstrong Park, and its roots extend throughout the park and gave birth to many other trees throughout the park. We know this place was sacred before the enslaved African presence, before colonization. It was the place where the Homa Indians had their annual corn festivals. It was also mid route between the lake and the river that Elder Reggie has often taught and given us history
Mm-hmm.
on in terms of a major trade route. So that space was sacred even before our ancestors inhabited and filled that space. And today, historically, we acknowledge ancestors in that space. Certainly, any time of the day or night, but collectively on Sundays, we still gather, uh, usually between 3 and sunset. Uh, the community as a whole comes together. So there'll be practitioners of varying paths, traditions, ethnicities, even races will be present there. But then there are those more sacred ceremonies and processions that individuals and groups perform there. For example, our
Mm-hmm.
third annual International New Orleans Voodoo Day, where we have a shared uh, voodoo ceremony as a culmination of our weekend events, uh, conducted by Benin practitioners, Haitian practitioners, and then New Orleans local practitioners such as Elder Reggie and myself. And then, of course, there is the cemetery, as Elder Reggie spoke of, and
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 cemeteries that I particularly favor. Um, I'm not quite as comfortable calling them out as I once was in the past. And
Mm-hmm.
certainly you find a real popular video of me and uh, another local practitioner forming a ceremony in St. Louis Cemetery number 1 before they officially shut that down to us having sort of free access to it. After years of abuse, vandalism, theft, they took the opportunity during the COVID shutdown to limit access to the cemetery, put up several security cameras. And so no ceremonies of that sort, and even the regular ritual prayers and applications that once were commonplace there, that no longer can be done. No more marking on the tomb, leaving various items that cannot be quickly and easily swept up and picked up. But there are then two other cemeteries that are not quite as locked down. But again, I won't say their names because I don't want any foolish folks going over there and violating our peace. But there are two, and they are in the city. They are in Orleans Parish, but they are much more open, public. Not quite as touristy, though there are tourists that do make their way to these parts of the city, and we do perform as Reggie spoke of a degree of rites on those grounds, and there is a completely different vibration, a very different tone, when you're actually in the space where the remains of the dead are buried. But even in my house, my godchildren, and particularly those who might be remote, live in other cities, states, countries, etc. They learn to create a sacred space indoors in which to honor and acknowledge those who came before, both bloodlines, their mothers, people in them, their fathers, people in them, and then those two sets of grandparents you have on both sides, and then going back. And then they too learn to create and adapt some outside depository to carry those organic material. And some of you, go ahead.
Divine Prince, if you will, thank you. I wanted to open it up to the collective community that listen to us. And if you don't live in, like, say, a historical rich city like New Orleans, whatever city you live in, if there's historical trauma there from hangings or from massacres where large sums of people was killed, and you can see them as an elevated ancestor, and you could go to some of these locations within your city and just pour water, alcohol, soda, milk, or coffee in honor of those tragic events, because some of those ancestors' energies are still stagnant in those areas. This event could have happened 100 years ago, maybe 200 years ago, but the mere thought and the mere offering something on behalf of the tragedy that they went through can help relieve them and have them move on. And we are building the National New Orleans International Voodoo Day off of 10 historical sites. And as we process to those sites, we are in remembrance of ancestors, elevated ancestors who went through certain tragedies, and we try to heal and relieve the energy with libations at those sites. And what Divine Prince and myself are saying tonight is, you guys could do this in your cities also. We don't have restrictions anymore. We could love those who put their lives on the line for us. As Divine Prince always teach, voodoo is a revolutionary spirit. Revolution from what? From the shackles that hold us bound mentally, spiritually, and physically. So give back through way of libations to your ancestors. Divine Prince?
Ashe. And while it's on the tip of my tongue, we're having our cycle. We have a series of cycles of ceremonies that we do on Saturday nights at the Source at 3319 Rosalie Alley. And this Saturday, we are performing ceremony for Gede. Gede is in representation for the dead, known and unknown, as well as for the ancestors. And we aren't, as Elder Reggie sort of just described, we are certainly providing a degree of healing, balance for those dead who are unsettled, perhaps
Mm-hmm.
suffered during their lives, maybe didn't do the best thing. We aren't seeking to wake them up. In fact, we pour libations to keep them cool, to keep them flowing forward in the cycle of life and healing and evolving so that they then can reemerge at the other end of the universe, the cosmos, as a new energy, a new creation, if you will. But we also acknowledge the dead, both known and unknown, who assist us in moving humanity forward, who have contracted with God to continue to assist humanity, certainly beginning with their relatives, their family, their friends, people that they knew, which ultimately affects the community, affects the village, affects the globe. So we also acknowledge in the ceremonies for Gede those dead and unknown dead who certainly assisted humanity in moving forward when they were alive and continue to move forward, assist society in moving forward now from an alternate dimensional space. The Yoruba call that Orun. Orun is not a direct translation for heaven, but more, if you understand string theory, a dimensional reality connected to this reality, but separate from this reality. So they retain their human, material, physical understanding of this space, but they also now see beyond and back into the past and forward in the future in a way that we as humans still attached to the physical body cannot see with clarity. So they're contracted to assist us, aid us, warn us, protect us in creating and recreating the reality that best mirrors our interests. And so that's why we perform ceremony and ritual to Gede. And certainly we invite others to come out and be a part of that and participate in that.
Yes, beautifully said, Divine Prince. But also, I just want to piggyback on a little bit. When you first opened up the show, you brought in Benin, Brazil, Cuba, Martinique, and other places where voodoo is alive and being practiced. And the New Orleans International Voodoo Day ceremony, which is going to be May 24th, 2026, we reach out and we have people from representatives from each one of those particular countries that we are naming. They do make their way to New Orleans to help support what we are doing. And that is a beautiful friendship that being developed. And it's also one that's built in voodoo on multiple layers in multiple countries. This is not a stagnant. Voodoo is not dead, it's alive. And it is the work and the dedications to those libations, we have poured for those ancestors, to our deities, and for the energies that walk with us, known and unknown, and they continue to show up. And it's a beautiful thing to see. And so we're saying in 2025, as we reach out, moving forward into 2026, our institutions are not dead. We have to reignite them, please. Divine Prince, before we close out.
And we're certainly thankful for your continued support and participation of this podcast. We strongly encourage greater participation. Please do come in, join the panel, become co-hosts, chat, ask questions, comment, a great deal more in the chat box. Please do take the time to share, like, follow, subscribe, repost the platform, where everywhere you can, whenever you can. And we don't expect everyone to agree with us. By the way, we are mature enough and old enough, and certainly El Reggie and I, to handle healthy debate
Mhm.
when indeed necessary and offered. But we certainly invite your continued participation and support through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through YouTube, through X, Twitter, through Instagram. And thank you so much for those who show up and continue to show up in Instagram. Cheyenne the Empress, greetings and salutations to you and yours. Lionheart, thank you for coming through. Jaja Binks, thank you for stopping through. iSun Third, we certainly appreciate you and yours. Love Unity 33, thank you for coming through. Miss Goddess and Matagu 3465, thank you for coming through. ARALSD, thank you for coming through. Arsla, thank you for coming through. BK Maruda, thank you for coming through. And Arturo F83, we certainly appreciate your support, participation, and visitation. And again, we invite you to come and join us again on Monday night at 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time, and Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time on a social media platform near you or by way of the QR code at the top right corner of your screen. All is a blessing. Elder Reggie.
Yes, thank you, sir. Before we have advertisements, I'd like to read, please. Saturday, December the 13th at 6:30 p.m., the Getty ceremony, as Divine Prince just eloquently brought forward. And then on Friday the 19th, at 6:30 p.m., we're doing the new moon ritual. These rituals are growing legs. They are becoming very powerful, moving energy. Please, if you're in the local area, become a part of it. It's going to be at a location of 710 Cluett Street, and that park is called the Cluett Garden. This is located in the Bywater. And then the next day, that Saturday, the 20th of December, at 6:30 p.m., we have the Petal Flaming Bath rituals, which is going to be also another powerful ritual. We don't just do bath with rituals, we're doing a flaming ritual. And that's going to be at 3319 Rosalie Alley in New Orleans, Louisiana, in what's called the Bywater area. We thank you. And then our last ritual for the year is Wednesday, the 24th of December. Meet us at the bonfire on the levee in Lutcher, Louisiana. We call that area the River Parishes. Before I read, lest we forget, I like to just hold prayer and space for our illustrious board members and panel who do the show and help us host the show nightly. They're for whatever reason, they are not here, but they are remembered and they are loved. We also hold prayer and space for those who do come out each night through the chat boxes and all the social media to help support, even just by listening to what we are doing. We are a movement. We are trying to bring it with a foundation of not just giving you anything, giving you something of substance, and we appreciate that. Lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. We continue to have work to do. With that, I say ashe, ashe, ashe. Good night, everyone. We'll see you on Monday. Have an awesome weekend, and we love you.
Good night in Odabo, and we hope to see you on Saturday night at the Source Temple Space for our Gede ceremony. All is a blessing.
Fouet piment, madame, si brave gede monte, brave gede, a vite fait foulay la non, si clé monte. Fouet piment, madame, si gede nibo monte, gede nibo, la magoué sur les lois, si clé descend. Fouet piment, madame, si brave gede monte, brave gede a pas dans saut, si clé monte. Fouet piment, madame, si gede nibo monte, gede nibo a pas dans saut, si clé descend.
My grandmama told me I'm indigenous, period. Said don't ask questions, baby, just feel it in your spirit. She had no tribe, no clan, no proof, but swore up and down she had indigenous roots. She lit a candle and showed me a dream. Said, don't worry about science, baby, that ain't what it means. I asked her for records, she gave me a shrug, then pulled out a bonnet and a fake tribal mug. My grandmama told me I'm indigenous, period. Didn't give no source, just vibe. I was serious. No leg, no tongue, no name I could find. Just copper color story and a made up bloodline.